Hello, Internet. I am Corione, your witch in residence here on YouTube. And today, because this is going to be the episode right before Halloween, I decided to do something a little special. I'm going to read to you one of my favorite myths for around this time of year, the abduction of Persephone. So, everybody take a big breath, relax, and sit down and get ready to listen. I think you're going to find this one a lot of fun. Persephone was the daughter of Demeter and Zeus. Persephone was picking flowers one day when Hades saw her. He was so captivated by her beauty that he took her by force to the underworld. Demeter, goddess of the harvest and fertility, searched for her daughter when Persephone went missing. Once she realized Persephone was taken to the underworld, she protested the abduction by stopping her work with the crops. Before this time, food in Greece was always plentiful, but now crops failed and food was scarce. Zeus and the other gods tried to convince Demeter to lift her curse on the land, but she would not until her daughter was released. Zeus then sent Hermes to Hades, urging him to release Persephone. Hades understood this and demanded that he needed to follow. But before releasing her, Hades had her eat seeds of the pomegranate. Because she ate fruit from the underworld, she was now tied to the underworld and to Hades. Zeus was forced to make a compromise between Demeter and Hades in their claims to Persephone. He arranged a plan for Persephone to spend 4 months with Hades as his queen for every seed of the pomegranate she had eaten. The other 8 months, she would return to her mother. Demeter continued to allow the crops to fail when Persephone was with Hades. This myth of Persephone was used by the gods to explain the cycle of fertility in nature. Now, as the story goes from the original Greek, because honestly, I like you guys and I like to go back to original sources. Zeus had 3 sisters. Hera, his wife and sister, was the goddess of marriage and the queen of all the gods. Hestia, another of his sisters, was a much loved goddess by the women of Greece. Hestia was the goddess of home and hearth. His third sister, Demeter, was in charge of the harvest. All the gods' jobs were important. Demeter's job was very important. If she was upset, the crops would die. Everyone, gods and mortals, worked to keep Demeter happy. What made her happy was enjoying the company of her daughter, Persephone. Persephone had grown into a beautiful young woman with a smile for everyone. One day, while picking flowers in the fields, Hades, her uncle, the god of the underworld, noticed her. Hades was normally a gloomy fellow, but Persephone's beauty had dazzled him. He fell in love instantly. Quickly, before anyone could interfere, he kidnapped Persephone and hurried his chariot down into the darkest depths of the underworld, taking Persephone with him. Locked in a room in the hall of Hades, Persephone cried and cried. She refused to speak to Hades, and she refused to eat. Legend said if you ate anything in Hades, you could never leave. She did not know if the legend was true, but she did not want to risk in case some came to rescue her. Nearly a week went by. Finally, unable to bear her hunger, Persephone ate 6 pomegranate seeds. It seemed like her fate was sealed. She would have to live in the underworld forever. Meanwhile, back on Mount Olympus, Zeus was worried about the crops. The people could die if the crops failed. If that happened, who would worship Zeus? He had to do something. Zeus did what he often did. He sent Hermes, his youngest son, the messenger, to crack a deal, this time with Hades. Even as a baby, Hermes was great at making deals. Everyone knew that. But this deal might be the challenge of his life. His uncle Hades, king of the underworld, was really in love. This was no passing fancy. When Hermes heard Persephone had eaten 6 pomegranate seeds, he had to think quickly. The deal he made with Hades was that if Persephone would marry Hades, she would live as queen of the underworld for 6 months out of the year. However, each spring, Persephone would return to live on Earth for the other 6 months of the year. Hades agreed. Zeus agreed. Persephone agreed. And finally, with some work, Demeter agreed. Each spring, Demeter makes sure all the flowers bloom in welcome of her daughter, queen of the underworld, and when she returns to her. Each fall, when Persephone returns to Hades, Demeter cries, lets all the crops die until spring, when the cycle starts again. Now, this was two versions of the story. The first one is from the Christian monks that copied down these stories and retold them, and the other one was from the original Greek. As you can see, uh, both retellings of the story keep to the same concept, that this is a time of change and it explains the cycle of the year. But to me, it also speaks of what how madness can drive love and love drive madness. For as we see, Zeus loves his people and needs to make changes happen. Hades has romantic love for Persephone, and Demeter the love has love for her daughter. And that's what makes this story, in my opinion, so beautiful and so tragic at the same time. Three loves, all different, all determined to get their way. And poor Persephone pulled in all three directions at the same time. This to me speaks to this time of year, especially because this would be the time where Persephone would say farewell to her mother for a time and travel into the underworld. And in craft, we tend to believe that this is the time when the dead can make a short visit to return to the living and speak with them if needed. And this year, on Halloween, or what we call the Sow-in, we hold a special ritual where we invite everyone, we call to the loved ones that we miss dearly, and we hold a feast and we invite them to join us for that feast. And we sit and we listen and we hear the call of our people that came before us. I know that now it's associated with ghouls and goblins and treats, and by all means, enjoy that too. But if you get the chance, when you light the candle that you put in a pumpkin outside so that trick-or-treaters know that to come to you to get candy, think of someone that you care about, somebody that you miss, and ask them that if they have any wisdom, come share it with you tonight. Who knows, you may get something wonderful to occur. I myself am going to be calling back my brother by choice, Tony. He was my roommate, my best friend. We were each other's best men at our weddings, and I miss my brother terribly. And this was his favorite time of year because it also happened to be his birthday. Fun fact about my brother: he was very, very allergic to wheat and couldn't have cake on his birthday. So every year, being that it was Halloween and he had a fascination with skull motif, we would commission someone to make a a smashable cake skull for him, so that we would have this chocolate skull in lieu of a birthday cake, and he would smash it and we'd all have some, and it was a great amount of fun. So I miss him. And, around this time, Tony, if you're there and you can hear me from wherever you are, I hope you are doing wonderful, and I miss you, brother. Well, that's going to be the video for this time. I know you guys have all got all kinds of Halloween related stuff going on. I'd like to remind you guys that on the 31st, I am going to be doing a charity live stream to raise money for Child's Play and for the Rainbow Railroad. Both of these are absolutely worthwhile charities. I encourage you to share the news of this live stream. Come out and please donate generously. Um, these charities could really use the help. And the idea of putting video game systems into hospitals and rescuing people who, because of who they love, could be killed in the countries that they're in, to me is very near and dear to my heart. And I hope you will consider helping as well. Thank you very much, everybody. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Take care and have a wonderful Samhain.